Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I'm your host. You know, being an artist and a parent to two incredibly energetic kids, my two worlds actually collide in the funniest way. Mainly, things are constantly getting locked up, lost, or just plain stuck. But instead of getting frustrated, I really like to look at everyday lockouts as, well, fascinating mechanical puzzles. So today, we're going to explore 13 secret ways to open a lock, basically turning an annoying problem into a really fun, hands-on home repair challenge.
So what happens when you lose the key to your own life? Or, like what happened to me literally last week. What happens when your kid loses the one and only key to their bike lock? Or maybe you suddenly find yourself locked out of the garden shed with a massive painting deadline looming. Look, it is super easy to panic. But a lock is really just an artist's mechanical canvas. By understanding how these things are actually built, we can completely shift our perspective from pure frustration to an empowering, hands-on home repair challenge.
Okay, let's dive right into our blueprint for today. We've got everyday mechanical vulnerabilities, bypassing the combination lock, navigating false gates, sculpting improvised copy keys, and finally, household tool techniques.
Section 1. Everyday mechanical lock vulnerabilities. Now, before we get our hands dirty, we need to lay down a strict, absolutely crucial ground rule. This is only for lawful use. Everything we're covering today is brilliantly designed as a home repair shortcut, strictly meant for those moments when you lose your own keys to your own locks, right? This whole explainer is really about empowerment and understanding the mechanical world around you.
So if we look back decades ago, we basically just relied on simple latches. As our need for security grew over the past century, we added immense mechanical complexity. But here is the secret. That very complexity accidentally introduced exploitable physical feedback. I'm talking about things like tiny clicks and internal tension. Today, an artist's touch can easily read that physical feedback to essentially reverse engineer the lock's state.
Section 2. Bypassing the combination lock.
As a parent, this is the one I encounter all the time, whether it's on a kid's school locker or a really stubborn garage toolbox. So here's the exact step-by-step process. First, put all the digits in line. Second, turn the top shackle 180 degrees and press down firmly to create internal tension. By doing this, you're physically forcing the mechanisms against one another. Step 3, and this is where it gets artistic, search for the wheel that resists the most. It takes a delicate, almost painterly touch to feel which number wheel is fighting back against your finger. Finally, step 4, turn that resisting wheel slowly until you feel a really satisfying mechanical click.
Now, patience is absolutely incredible here. You just have to systematically repeat steps 1 through 4. You press the lock body down, feel for the next wheel with the most resistance, and turn it to the click. Over and over, until the whole puzzle is fully solved.
Section 3. Navigating tricky false gates. So, what happens when the lock fights back with internal tricks designed to stop exactly what we just did? Well, enter the false gate. These are internal lock mechanisms designed specifically to trap your tools and trick you into thinking you've actually found the correct combination. Honestly, think of them like tricky speed bumps or, decoy doorways in a funhouse. They give you a little fake click and release the resistance, making you think you've solved that number wheel, but in reality, you're just stuck in a mechanical dead end.
While a standard lock gives you direct, honest physical feedback, a lock with false gates is significantly more secure. You're going to have to turn the wheel several times to bypass all those decoys. You just keep repeating those same tension and resistance steps, maneuvering right past the fake clicks until you finally hit the true combination.
Section 4. Sculpting improvised copy keys.
Okay, this is where the artist in me gets truly incredibly excited, because when you lose a key, you don't always have to manipulate the lock's internals directly. Sometimes you can literally just sculpt everyday trash into a functional master key. You can use whatever you have on hand, a piece of an aluminum can, a standard plastic bottle, the flexible casing of a battery, 4-layer paper, or even just layers of Scotch tape. By carefully tracing the outline of a spare, if you have it, or using these materials as impression tools, you can cut and mold them into a perfect, working duplicate.
And the magic number here, it's 10. I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing to me that simply layering completely ordinary Scotch tape 10 times over creates a composite structure rigid and strong enough to actually turn the internal pins of a lock. It's just a perfect example of how combining weak materials creates astonishing strength.
Section 5. Household tool techniques. But what do you do when you just don't have the materials or the time to sculpt a full copy key? Why, you improvise with what's in your pocket or your bathroom drawer. Certain locks can actually be unlocked with a narrow knife just by inserting and maneuvering it to trip the latch. But for your typical pin and tumbler locks, you're going to need precision. A safety hair grip can easily rise up pins. You just lift each pin slightly to set them. Or you can use 2 simple paper clips. But the technique here is absolutely critical. You put all the pins in line by pressing slightly, not too strong. Seriously, think of it like applying a really delicate brush stroke to a canvas. If you press down too hard, the pins will just jam up entirely.
So the really crucial point here is understanding the structural limitations of the canvas we're working with. For instance, the internal catch on an aluminum lock might simply break or give way under pressure if you try to force it. But if you're dealing with a lock that is very big and made of solid steel, this simply doesn't work. Big steel locks have serious physical limitations that stop these simple mechanical bypasses dead in their tracks.
You also need to look out for this specific security block. Notice the lock's catch. If it only has one recess on the shackle, well, some basic bypass tricks might work out for you. But if the lock has recesses on both sides of the shackle, the methods we've discussed for shimming or bypassing the catch just will not work at all. The mechanics there are just too thoroughly secured. So, what does this all mean? It all comes down to this. A lock isn't an impenetrable fortress, but just a mechanical puzzle waiting for the right creative shortcut. Whether you're using layers of paper, a safely modified hair grip, or just your own sense of touch to find the resistance on a numbered wheel, everyday mechanical barriers are really just solvable art projects. You just need the right perspective.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Look around you right now. Which ordinary object in your house is secretly the key to solving your next mechanical puzzle? I really hope this explainer has given you a renewed, curious, and maybe even an artistic perspective on the physical world around you. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.